Simpliaxis is not only doing SAFe certifications, but we also have CSM, PSM, ICP, Agile, and other certifications and courses as well. And our trainers are really, really good. I'm responsible for the North America business for all the training services and consulting services, but you can reach out for other things as well. So these are some of the aspects when you click on learn more, right? Then there is SAFe product owner, product manager. This is, as you can see, focused on PO and PM, okay? Then there's a SAFe Scrum Master, because Scrum Master needs to know what is the role they have to play within the SAFe implementation and supporting the Agile release trains within RTE, understanding the terminology, understanding the role within PI planning and so forth. LPM, Lean Portfolio Management, tracking the money, right? How are these things getting funded? Agile funding, right? There is actually a course on Agile marketing is going to come. Say for teams. In CSM, so Preet mentioned she has done CSM. I'm assuming other people must have done CSM, PSM. These trainings are done for who? Scrum Master or Product Owner, correct? Most of the other frameworks do not have training for the actual team members. It's expected from the Scrum Master to basically go and train and coach how the Scrum is worked. But if I'm a team member, when I was a developer, a Scrum Master came to me in 2008-9. She's telling me all about Scrum, all fancy. What am I supposed to do? I'm coming from, what do you expect from me to be done, right? Not necessarily they're going to be all the right trainers, right? So within SAFe, there is SAFe for teams. This is for the Agile team members. What is their role? How can they be more Agile? How can they be helping the Agile release train achieve the objectives for the product vision? We talked a little bit on the high level about SAFe RTE, SAFe Release Train Engineer. If you already have a SAFe SSM, you can go for a SAFe Advanced Scrum Master. DevOps. DevOps is another course, right? So DevOps is fairly new, started in 2008-9, right? Not the course, but I'm talking about the DevOps movement. And now it has moved from DevOps to DevSecOps. The middle sec stands for security, right? You have seen how many breaches have happened for our Colonial pipelines recently happened, right? Microsoft hack app, a year and a half, Microsoft didn't knew about it. Can you believe that? Security has become a very critical part for our success. I'll give you an analogy. Security, cybersecurity is like brakes in the car. The responsibility is to protect us when we go too fast on the highway. However, not stop us from moving our car to begin with, right? What has become as a cybersecurity in a lot of companies, it's a blocker. It has become a blocker. It doesn't have to be that way. It has to be more of an enabler. A car, the brakes in your car don't, stop you from just moving your car to begin with. Say for architects, focused on how architects can help. There are multiple layers of architects: solution architect, system architect, enterprise architect. How are these people able to help you, right? That's where the architecture comes in. Agile product management is an advanced level for SAFe POPM. Agile software engineering, right? This one course is not mentioned over here, which is Agile product, I think so, marketing. I think so, APMO or something like that. That's the name of the course. That is a one-day course for understanding how agility works within marketing, right? And all these things, you can, of course, go and learn more right over here. And you can basically learn more about the course. Now, if you click on the exam certification details, you're interested not only giving the exam, but you're, of course, attending the class, but you also want to have the certification details. You can also see it's 120 minutes, number of questions they're going to ask, what's the passing percentage, and other details as well. When you do take any of the SAFe courses, you also get PDUs, right? Some of you guys might be coming from project management or other kind of frameworks. You can click over here. You can report the PDUs as well to understand how many PDUs you get, all the information right in front of you from this link. Okay. So let me stop over there and answer a few questions. SAFe principles and fundamentals can be used by even one single Agile team. You don't need to have a scaling mechanism. SAFe has its own fundamentals and principles right over here, right, which can be used. However, generally, it's recommended if you have a scaling problem, that means you have multiple agile teams, they need coordination between them, they have dependencies between them, or have too much external dependencies. That's where you basically introduce SAFe. Don't take me wrong, it comes with a little bit overhead for PI planning, pre-PI planning, inspect and adapt, but it's all worth it, because if you wouldn't have those planning events or kind of visibility and transparency events, it would be a much more bad situation, particularly in a waterfall, because we live in a false positive for a very long period of time. PMP is a project management professional. It is basically based on waterfall, right? That's basically the approach for PMP. SAFe is on Agile, right? Agile is more about iterative inspection and adaptation, and so forth, right? So the basic fundamental difference is waterfall and Agile. The thing is, it depends on what trajectory path you want to take. When you're doing SAFe Agilist, you can do leading SAFe certifications. You also get SAFe Agilist. Now, what happens? She understands the bigger picture within SAFe. Now, within SAFe, there are multiple roles. Maybe if you want to expand and become and stay within the Scrum Master, well, you can always do the Scrum Master certification. If you want to get into the product management, then you can do POPM certification. If you want to get into the higher level, more strategic part of the Scrum Master, you can do RTE certification. So there are multiple paths you can take. Hope depends on what is that you're looking as an outcome within your career in the next 2 to 5 years. I do remember, I don't know, I'm in my 30s right now. I never saw my parents when I was growing up studying for certification, opening a certification book, which big, SQL book or anything, and learning from there. And the reason behind that was the age we live in right now is a learning age. That means we have to change way, way more faster than our predecessors, right? Or previous generations. The reason I'm saying that is this is an iterative framework. So this is going to keep on changing. This is a 5.1 version. It's going to have 5.2. Sometimes it's going to have 6 version. And the reason I say that is we always have to keep our skills up to date, upgrade. Look at the software, right? I use Android phone, right? It sends me software updates every 6 months. Why does it have to do that? It's working perfectly fine because it's upgrading, it's adding new features and stuff. And if I have to keep up to date with the technology and the frameworks these days, I have to do the exact same thing. So in short, I hope that you stay connected within the SAFe community or any other framework you pick, and you kind of keep on, upgrading your skills every 6 to 8 months or a year. You don't have to do it every day, but like once in a while. Answer is yes and yes. You can have a dependency within a couple of Agile teams from your infrastructure teams as well. When the systems become more complicated, of course, you have more dependencies. It could be internal, it could be external, right? So it depends, of course, but if you have infrastructure teams, if you have on-prem infrastructure, if you do not have DevX, DevOps capabilities up to what the industry has these days, because most of the things are on cloud these days, right? So it depends. But the answer to your question, Scott, is yes. You can have external dependencies, which we can manage. I'll give you an example. We had a program increment planning, which is PF planning in SAFe. You want to read about it more? You can click this icon. You can learn more about it. Within that, what happened, Scott, was we had within a financial company dependency on a third party. This third party was going to provide a lot of APIs from the backend, right? What did we do? We basically invited them to our PI planning. We said, this is our plan. These are the areas we need your support in. Doesn't matter you're doing Agile or Waterfall. At that time, they were Waterfall. And we basically got their commitment, right? This actually helped them because they were like, oh, this makes sense because now we can see your whole roadmap. Now we can not only understand what you're going to do in the next 3 months, but we'll also understand what you're going to do in the next 6 to 9 months, right? It kind of gives them a very big view and understanding and how things are going to work. So answer your question, yes and yes. So the answer basically depends on how big and how complicated things are within your organization or your client. And the reason I say that is SAFe is not needed just for the sake of adding a framework. It comes with an overhead, right? You would have a little bit more roles than you are used to within an Agile team and or a Kanban team, right? So you have to kind of understand that what is the benefit of it. If you have too many Agile teams, Kanban team, Scrum team, you're facing with the basic issue of dependencies. You're facing with the issues of understanding how dependencies can be managed, mapped. Is the process transparent? Is your business saying we send the requirements to IT and then it's a black hole? Nothing comes back. Just stays there. If those kind of things are happening, this framework is going to help you create transparency and alignment within main three pillars, which are your business, your marketing, and your technology. Okay. So I would say you can actually read a little bit more material over here. So there are some advanced topics over here, right? Now, within that advanced topic, let me find over here, there is a topic which is called team topologies. Let me expand to view all advanced and then Control F to topologies. Okay, so organizing Agile teams within different topologies. I'm going to copy this. Now, there are different types of Agile teams. Maybe you can look at the definition over here and try to see where and why and if you need SAFe or not. The basic difference is that when you move to a certain framework, it's the alignment of terminology. Aniruddha had a very good example. Hey, I said this is a PO, this is a PM, and my stakeholders are like, no, we have learned a different way, right? It's the understanding of terminology. It's the understanding of what is it that, so CSPO, which is basically a Scrum framework, doesn't have something called PI planning, right? Now, if you're a PO or a PM and you're going to do PI planning within your organization, how would you know what is the role you're supposed to play? What role are you supposed to play before the PI? What role you're supposed to play within the PI execution? The roles differ, right? And if you want to learn what those roles are, you can click on product owner. And the beauty of this framework is all the information is free. You can see responsibilities right over here. Preparing for the PI planning, iteration execution, what can you do? Program execution. It has all the responsibilities and roles, and you can also read the differences between the PO and PM. So that's the basic difference. You need to get aligned on the framework, understand what roles are needed. If you're not doing SAFe, do you need to do PO PM? I don't think so yet. When your organization start adopting SAFe as a framework, then it would make sense, because knowledge learned and not used is going to be knowledge wasted. And I don't want to suggest you guys just do certifications for the sake of certification. RTE basically has two events they can pull. One is called an art sync, and the art sync basically gets subdivided into the PO sync and SOS. You must have heard SOS, which stands for Scrum of Scrums. PO sync stands for Product Owner Sync. So RTE basically bring all the people from these Agile teams, mostly Scrum teams, and they basically talk about the dependencies and bottlenecks and so forth 2 times a week, depending on the organization, it differs. You mentioned something with Kanban team. How I've seen in a Kanban team, you can basically invite either a product owner of a Kanban team, and if they don't have a product owner, in some cases, they definitely don't have a Scrum Master, you can invite the team lead or the person who is most knowledgeable about the overall work, right? To those events, which is SOS and art sync, product owner sync. And that's where, when we do the PI planning, there is something called program board. Now, within the program board, I was trying to find a picture of that. Within the program board, it doesn't matter if they're on the same cadence or not. We are still mapping the dependencies visually, right? So that's going to help those teams to coordinate, and definitely helps the RT to basically manage that work. I'm not able to find the picture, but what you see over here, program backlog, there is something called program board. Program backlog is backlog of all the features present. Program board is what is present just during the PI, that particular PI. So two things without knowing much of the details is all they need to be in the same cadence and same synchronization because it will keep on creating issues for your releasability, right? It's not the process issue, it's integration issues. If those two trains have dependency, if they're not able to integrate their work at the end of every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever your cadence is, you're going to live in false positive, and that's what you want to reduce. That's step number one. Step number two is there is something called solution train. I'm not sure if your company is at that level, but STE's responsibility is to manage more than one train, including suppliers. You might also have suppliers in the mix. So if you see over here, supplier is at the bottom right over here, right? So in this particular case, what's happening is this particular STE is coordinating between train one, train two, and in some cases, supplier as well. Now, having that role, they will do something which is basically called on the large solution level, a pre and the post PI planning. Okay. Now, I will highly encourage you to click on these icons and read what they happen in pre PI planning. When these agile release trains are doing PI planning, before that, they meet with the product managers. They bring everyone together and say, you know what, can we actually have these features lined within your agile release train, right? Train one, train two product managers, right? Bringing everyone together. There will be negotiation. There will be like, yes, we can do some. No, we cannot do some, right? And then when they go to the PI planning, things are going to change. They will do something called post PI planning, right? To understand what got adjusted. Okay, we asked for 20 features. We are only going to get 10. Okay. Not that what we were looking for, but now we understand we need to do some kind of alternative stuff. Maybe we increase work on supplier, maybe we hire any other contractors, whatever, right? And then adjust the roadmap accordingly. So read this article right over here. That's going to help you a lot. All the certification trainings are being run virtually. So if you want to register for any of the trainings, please reach out to Carthan. He has shared his email address, and you can also connect with him on LinkedIn. All righty. Well, I hope that helped, and continue your learning journey. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. To see one of you guys in one of my classes. Bye-bye.